A very good morning and welcome to the very first edition of the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan on TV1. We are just less than 8 weeks away from one of the most vital and crucial elections in Sri Lanka, the 2024 presidential election, where many contenders have already placed their deposits and many views and expressions are being made with regard to this presidential election that has been surrounded with many developments, including the appointment of an acting Inspector General of Police, the deployment of police officers, as well as there were also court cases that were filed with the Supreme Court also with regard to the election. Now, starting today, we will bring you an in-depth analysis of all these developments taking place in Sri Lanka as well as across the world. Now, as the presidential election approaches, differing opinions from political parties have come to the forefront. Now, today, we bring you the vital information that you need to start your morning with regard to these developments. Now, in recent days, concerns have arisen about potential obstacles in deploying police officers for security purposes for the presidential election that's slated to take place on the 21st of September. However, the Ministry of Public Security has clarified there is no impediment with regard to the deployment of police officers for the presidential election. Now, Viyani Gunathilaka is the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security. Now, he has assured necessary support will be provided by law enforcement to ensure a smooth electoral process. Now, yesterday, Viyani Gunathilaka was actually at the Election Commission for a meeting with the chairman of the Election Commission, R.M.A.L. Ratnayaka. Now, the Election Commission announced that the Secretary of the Ministry of Public Security, Mr. Gunathilaka, has agreed to provide the necessary police officers for the upcoming presidential election. Now, this decision to provide the necessary police officers for the upcoming poll comes after discussions between the Secretary and the chairman of the Election Commission. Now, earlier this week, the Election Commission in fact sent a formal letter to the President seeking a solution to the issue related to the IGP in organizing the election. Now, in response, the President's Secretary instructed the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security to coordinate the deployment of police officers for the presidential election. Now, the Secretary of the Ministry of Public Security confirmed that the President had granted special permission for collaboration with the Election Commission regarding police deployment in the presidential election. Now, that will take place on the 21st of September. Now, sticking with the presidential election, the Election Commission has now announced that there has been a surge in complaints with regard to the violation of election laws. Now, as of now, more than 125 different complaints ranging from various issues have been received. Now, this is highlighting the necessity of addressing these issues as well. Now, these complaints are covering a wide range of issues, including alleged violation of election laws, and specific concerns are related to the appointments, transfers, and promotions of individuals. Now, the Election Commission, in a statement, is encouraging citizens to report any election-related grievance immediately to a special unit that has been established within the premises of the Election Commission. Now, they say that this unit stands ready to address all complaints that are filed with them with regard to the upcoming presidential election. Now, switching gears, you all might know that in 2022, Sri Lanka faced a very severe economic crisis, and thereafter the Sri Lankan government approached the International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund then provided a program which is called the Extended Fund Facility to Sri Lanka, like a bailout package for around $3 billion. Now, several disbursements have already been released, and targets of these of the program which have been laid out by the IMF, some have been met and some are still pending. Now, an International Monetary Fund team led by its senior mission chief, Peter Brewer, is currently in Sri Lanka. Now, speaking to Newsfirst, a spokesperson for the International Monetary Fund said that the team is on a staff visit in Colombo. Now they are here to discuss recent economic developments and follow up on implementation of the targets of Sri Lanka's economic reform program supported by the IMF's Extended Fund Facility. Now earlier in the day, speaking to Newsfirst, State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinghe said that the IMF team will be meeting with President Ranil Wickremesinghe today to discuss the country's AFF program. That's the Extended Fund Facility. Now, Semasinghe confirmed that this marks the beginning of a series of staff discussions aimed at securing further financial support. Now, he also said that despite the ongoing election period, President Wickremesinghe has prioritized the implementation of agreements given by the IMF. Now, Sri Lanka's IMF was approved by the IMF's executive board, and it aims to address the country's economic challenges. Now, the program amounts to around $3 billion under the Extended Fund Facility for a period of 48 months. Now, sticking with development programs, Sri Lanka's development drive is on course, according to state ministers. Now, State Minister for Investment Promotion Dilum Amunagama was speaking to reporters last afternoon at the President's Media Centre. Now, at this press conference, the State Minister highlighted that Sri Lanka has achieved remarkable stabilization after experiencing a severe economic collapse just 2 years ago. Now, State Minister Dilum Amunagama said that the BOI, or the Board of Investment, and the Ministry of Investment Promotion set a target of $1 billion in investments for this year alone. And so far, $800 million has been secured. Now, however, there is optimism among the Sri Lankan government sector that they could also reach a target of $2 billion by the end of the year. Now, for 2024, investment opportunities have been established across various regions, and according to State Minister Dilum Amunagama, these include Trincomalee, Mankulam, Kankasanture, and 35 other planned projects in Sri Lanka. Now, furthermore, he said a new economic transformation bill will streamline investment promotion activities through the Economic Commission, which is set to be established via this bill. Now, it will oversee all investment-related decisions. In addition, a fast-track approval process for investments is also in place. Now, at this press conference, many questions were raised from the State Minister with regard to what kind of investments are going to take place in Sri Lanka, who is going to come in, what's the investment opportunity, what's the amount. Let's have a look at those comments.
Yeah, Trinco port is handled through the Ministry of Ports and Aviation, but there is a program going on, Trinco development. There have been many discussions with the Indian government also, and the development of not only Trinco, but the whole Trincomalee area is in the pipeline, where actually the President, when he was Prime Minister, I think in 2015, he had got this Subhana Jorong, the company called Subhana Jorong, to do a plan for Trincomalee development plan. So that plan is there, and we are in the midst of implementing it stage by stage, because we don't have the finances right now. So that plan will be implemented in stages. So port development, then development of Trincomalee also will be handled by UD and Ports Authority. We are handling the development of the free trade zone within the Trinco port.
With the presidential election date getting declared, and it's happening within a few weeks, you said that there's a decrease in new investments coming into the country.
There will be a decrease.
Right. So, and also you said that the ministry is trying to retain the current investments. What's the progress with Sri Lanka resuming the stalled investments?
Stalled investments was stalled, as you said, during the COVID period. And then after when the economic recession came up, then all the investments stalled, or the operators kept operating. We had to assist them, but they stayed alive. At least they didn't die down. But new investments stalled then and there. So it is those investments that had stalled that are engaging now. They didn't want to engage with us when the rupee was when the dollar was 400 rupees. But now with the figures improving, now they are re-engaging and they are signing. So I can easily tell you, out of the 35, 30 projects are projects that stalled because of the recession at that time, and that have re-engaged. So there are only maybe about 5 or 6 new ones. So this is it's a good signal.
Well, those were the comments made by State Minister of Investment Promotion, Dilum Amunugama. Now, in a related development, yesterday, the Exim Bank of Korea announced that they will be resuming the concessional loan projects awarded to Sri Lanka. That means the funds that were stalled for these projects following Sri Lanka's economic collapse. And while there was a waiting period to secure the approvals or an agreement with the official creditor committee and the external creditors, these funds that were stalled will now be released via those projects or concessionary loan projects by the Korean Exim Bank. Now, it was just last week that the government of Japan also gave the green light to release funds for projects in Sri Lanka after those projects stalled for the same reason, the economic collapse that we experienced 2 years ago. Now, these projects include the BIA terminal in the Katnayaka International Airport. Now, moving on. Now, Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe was at an event yesterday. Now, at this event, he expressed commitment to enhancing youth organizations, including the Girl Guide Association, Scout Association, Cadet Corps, and Youth Corps in every aspect. Now, according to the President's Media Division, the President's objective is to foster substantial contribution from young people towards the country's future. Now, the President had highlighted that the government has already allocated the necessary funds for youth programs. Now, as the country's economy strengthens, the President plans to allocate any remaining funds towards further supporting the youth in Sri Lanka. Now, the President was making these remarks at the President's Guide Awards Ceremony 2022-2023 at the BMICH yesterday. Now, where he presented the President's Awards to members of Sri Lanka Girl Guides Association. Now, speaking at this event, the President also announced that necessary steps will be taken to increase the membership of the Girl Guides Association, which stands at approximately 75,000 to a mammoth 150,000. Now, the President emphasized that youth organizations in Sri Lanka, including the Sri Lanka Girl Guide Association, Scout Association, Cadet Corps, and the Youth Corps, can play a significant role in contributing towards drug prevention programs in the country as well. Now, in some positive news for Sri Lankans, now we've been experiencing price hikes in petroleum, LP gas, and other products over the past 2 years since the country went into an economic collapse, as the central bank also said that they defaulted on servicing external loans. Now, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation late last night issued a statement saying that they have decided to maintain the fuel prices for the month of August. Now, this decision was announced by an official communication last night. Now, at the same time, Litrogas confirmed that there will be no change in the prices of cooking gas for the month of August as well. Now, Mudita Peris, the chairman of Litrogas, emphasized that LP gas will continue to be sold at the existing prices. Now, the previous price hike took place in July. Now, as of now, let me give you a breakdown of the prices. A 12.5 kilogram domestic gas cylinder from Litro is priced at 3,690 rupees. A 5 kilogram gas cylinder is 1,482 rupees. And a 2.3 kilogram gas cylinder is 694 rupees. Now, switching gears to something very interesting that's happening in Sri Lanka, but is also taking place across the world. That's online scams, internet fraud, money laundering online. Now, in recent months, even last year in 2023, Newsfirst was at the forefront in reporting about Sri Lanka's cyber slavery nightmare, where scores of Sri Lankans were trapped in Myanmar in the Myawaddy region. Now, the Myawaddy region is a region that is notorious for criminal gang activity that is not controlled by the Myanmar authorities, and it is controlled by a separate militia group or several militia groups that have divided the region among themselves. Now, several Sri Lankans, more than 40 of them, had been promised jobs in Myanmar in the IT sector. Unfortunately, their dreams of earning a good income in the IT sector were dampened because they were lured on false promises. They were taken to Thailand and then over the border taken to Myanmar, where they were forced to work more than 12 to 15 hours a day engaging in cyber criminal activity. According to some of those witnesses who we spoke to, they said that they were forced to communicate with people in Europe, lure them, attract them, and then take their money online and scam them of most of the time, most of the savings of those innocent people, unsuspecting innocent people who are just online. Now, thereafter, Sri Lanka's law enforcement agencies also started cracking down on online scams taking place in Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lankan law enforcement authorities yesterday arrested 54 Chinese nationals and one Japanese woman in the Kalpiti area on suspicion of engaging in online fraud. Now, following their arrest, 11 suspects were presented before the Puttalam's Magistrates Court, and subsequently they were remanded until the 12th. Now, meanwhile, the remaining people who were arrested at this premises were released on bail, and each of them was ordered to pay 500,000 rupees as bail. Now, let's take a look at this story. This happened in Kalpitia at a hotel. Now, the raid was conducted by the Sri Lanka police with the Puttalam Crimes Division. Now, this operation led to the arrest of 52 Chinese nationals and one Japanese woman. Now, among these Chinese are 9 Chinese women as well. Now, an interesting development had taken place with this incident. Now, after these individuals arrested from the Kalpitia hotel, they were brought to the police, and that's the Norotchole police. Now, interestingly, 2 other Chinese men were seen surveilling the police station, trying to gather information about these Chinese nationals who were arrested earlier. Now, these 2 Chinese men were also arrested. Now, while the investigation is going on, Sri Lanka police has recovered more than 10 million rupees from the possession of these suspects. Now, during the raid, inventory used by these individuals, foreign nationals, were also seized by police. Let's have that's 98 mobile phones, 44 laptops, and a number of SIM cards from different companies were in the possession of these suspects. Now, this operation is part of an ongoing effort to crack down on illegal activities committed by foreign nationals on Sri Lankan soil. Now, similar arrests were made in areas such as Battaramulla, Negombo, and most of these suspects who were arrested are Chinese nationals or somewhat coming from mainland China as well. Now, Sri Lanka police has said that they will be cracking down on all these illegal scams, but at the same time, we would also like to remind our viewers that still there are Sri Lankans trapped in Myanmar in those cyber slave camps. Now, efforts were taken by the Sri Lankan authorities to visit Myanmar. Now, recently we saw the Defense Secretary, retired General Kamal Gunaratne, also in Myanmar engaging in discussions. Then previously we also saw opposition members led by Wasantayapa Bandara also in Myanmar speaking with the clergy there and other related officials trying to secure the release of these individuals. But yet efforts are ongoing, according to Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Ali Sabri as well, who recently spoke to several international media outlets on this issue, and also to Sri Lankan media outlets. Diplomatic engagements are also ongoing to secure the release of the remaining Sri Lankans who are trapped in cyber slave camps in Myanmar, which are now termed as a nightmare situation for them, as they have disclosed that despite being forced to work for hours and hours a day to scam people online, failure to meet those targets has also led to serious repercussions, including torture. Now, News First and our team, a team of investigative journalists, are committed to keep on reporting on these incidents as well. And that brings an end to this edition of the Breakfast Rundown. Please do join me again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. right here on TV1 for a more in-depth analysis on the stories that are making headlines here at home and also overseas, and the stories that matter to you, where we bring you the stories with a different side. Take care and have a wonderful day.